folks, and welcome to Garbage Theater. Tonight's installment, Atlantic Rim 2, Resurrection. I'm your host, Chase, with my co-hosts, Blake and John.
I'm so glad this is over.
Boo.
Well, gentlemen, you ready to get this shit show on the road?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Neither one of you took the bait.
What was the bait?
That's a damn good question.
Oh shit.
Jeez.
You know, all fun, I'm using extremely huge air quotes when I say fun. All the fun from the first one was sucked right out of it from the second one.
Yeah, there was like nothing like really that enjoyable about this.
No.
For any reason.
They got more budget and a lot less soul.
Yeah. That's about right.
Oh my god. So
it's like they tried a lot harder. I mean, it didn't work,
but did a worse job.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say that the movie was worse. It's a weird thing. It's like some parts were way better and some parts were way worse. I don't know.
It was still an asylum movie through and through.
Yeah, I mean, overall, no real improvement, but it did seem to me like they were trying a little bit.
All right, so let's get going so we can get through this and end this season. My God. Okay,
Dude, this season has been a whooping.
Yeah, this is some bad shit. But we'll save all of that for the finale. Okay, so Atlantic Rim 2 Resurrection. We open several years after the first Atlantic Rim, where a news anchor recaps the events of the first movie, and a team of specially trained pilots used robots to fight off monsters. And she also says the death toll was high, particularly on the East Coast. The whole movie was on the East Coast.
There's a bunch of stuff like this in the movie.
So, the prevention of another catastrophe is the highest priority as we get barraged by the sheer force of Asylum's stock footage library.
So deep. The library's so deep.
The news anchor says that it's been several years of peace and quiet. Okay, this isn't going to come in till way later in our discussion of this movie, but everyone needs to remember this. It's been several years of peace and quiet since the first Atlantic Rim. Nothing has happened since the first Atlantic Rim. Just tuck that nugget away for later. Yeah. So, and then she says that the world's about to breathe again, as if she knows some shit's about to go down. So, cut to the USS Virginia. Probably the only reoccurring thing in this movie series. And we get to see that goddamn radar again. It's the same one. That carried over. Not a thing on it.
Sophisticated piece of equipment.
Yeah. Aboard the Virginia, codename Neptune's Nest calls out to the intrepid Gull as he seeks out the Red Sector.
Why does the USS Virginia have a code name? It's already got a name. What's the value in calling it something else?
You don't know who's listening. People could be listening.
Okay.
We don't want them to find out where the Red Sector is, John.
Those underwater monsters might find out, which one's the USS Virginia.
So the man aboard the intrepid Gull, turns out way later we find out his name's Larry, says that he hasn't seen anything on the sonar yet, nor will anyone ever, most likely. The Neptune asks if he's been drinking, possibly at the Mardi Gras. He claims that he's been running this sonar all week with nothing to show for it, when just then he picks up a signal. Cut to, both the Gull and the Neptune see what's causing the signal. However, we're not given the same privilege, and the Neptune orders the Gull to take preemptive measures immediately. So the intrepid Gull drops depth charges from the bottom of his deep-sea fishing boat, which I'm sure comes standard with all these models.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Why is the Navy employing some dude's fishing boat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? And why is said fishing boat equipped with depth charges.
Yeah, it's insane. It's completely insane.
So he launches the depth charges. He counts down until contact, and the depth charges explode one by one. Unfortunately, that's not how depth charges work.
No.
They don't explode on impact. They explode at a predetermined depth triggered by pressure, hence depth charges. Basic research, Asylum.
Yeah.
Not even research, common goddamn sense.
They don't use it. That's not their thing.
So, the signal quickly returns and rises to the surface. Neptune orders the Gull to regroup with the flotilla as he stares at the completely empty radar again. The intrepid Gull guns his boat. Larry guns his little boat as a giant insect creature erupts from the water next to a battleship. And the soldiers open fire as the creature karate chops the vessel in half. Cue the title card.
Did anyone else think it was a little weird that all those Navy boys just had like guns that they were shooting?
Just ready to go, ready to rock.
Off the side of the boat. Yeah. So the thing pops out, and then there's immediately a shot of the Navy, all the Navymen just firing their guns at it.
Well, it is the red sector.
Can we call them seamen? Like,
I refused to call them seamen. Those squids.
All the seamen just shooting all over the dock.
We got some clarification on that is actually a slur for sailors.
Yeah, Chase.
Well, thank God we've gotten that information.
Chase texted me that, and it just made more questions about that scene in the first one. I was like, why do these random potheads know this like archaic slur for sailors?
Also, were they even in the Navy?
I thought they worked for NASA. Right?
I don't know who anyone worked for. I don't know who anyone worked for anyone in that movie. The chain of command was very sketchy.
These are all damn good questions.
Cut to Miami Beach as the creature approaches the shore. More happy beachgoers doing their thing. It's a bit hilly for Miami, don't you guys think?
Yeah. Damn near mountainous.
Yeah. A lone surfer gets killed by the beast as it surfaces on the shore, scattering the beachgoers. In the distance, the flotilla just goes all fire at will at the monster on an extremely crowded beach. Attack helicopters are called in as the monster makes its way onto land. And this
like,
monster...
the monster's killing everybody. And they're like, no, that's just the Navy.
The monster is basically a leftover model of the lava-spitting monster from Starship Troopers.
I was saying it was familiar to something.
That's pretty much all it is. So
yeah,
picture that.
I was also disappointed. Like, I understand you need a different monster, and even Pacific Rim uses different types of monsters, but this was drastically different.
Yeah, it was
than what had originally come up.
It was dragons, and now it's big beetles.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that Chase, you got upset that they kept calling them spiders.
Ooh, I got a note about that later.
I'm hoping there was a rant involved with that. So
I don't know about a rant. It's just going to be a one stern correction.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Pacific Rim, all the monsters, each one was unique, but there was like elements of it throughout all the designs that sort of made them seem like they came from the same place at least. Yeah,
they all had the bioluminescence and they all fit together.
Yeah, they were consistent.
Go from dragons to buggies, underwater bugs.
As if two completely different groups of people made this movie.
Yeah, there's literally nothing that carried over.
This could have stood alone in its own. Like,
yeah, this either one of these could have been the first one.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, cut to our hero, Dr. Roth, as he jogs through the woods, and he gets a call from Larry on the Intrepid Gull. Thinking that he's calling to babysit his kids, but Larry tells him that they're back and on the shore. So Roth says that he knew these things would be back and that he pushed the NSA to update the Armada bots from day one. Who are you?
Yeah.
You were not involved in any of the first movie.
Nope.
Red, Tretch, and Tracy fought off these things, and this Johnny-come-lately comes in and starts bossing people around.
I was halfway thinking, like, are they trying to say that this guy is the same character as Red was? No. Mind you, I was half asleep as all this was going on. And I may not have caught the guy's name in the beginning.
5 minutes into the movie.
Oh, look, I don't even remember the title card to this movie.
I will say,
Also,
folks, this movie, we all waited to the last possible second to watch. I think all three of us finished this thing today.
Yeah, finishing it up right before we started recording. Just putting it off.
And nobody blames anybody for that.
He gets a phone call, and the dude's just like, they're back. And it's been like 3 years, I think. And he understood immediately what the call was about.
A lot of things could be back.
He's like, they're back. A dinosaur story?
Yeah, a lot of things could be back. Just like a lot of things could be happening. It's not a reason to get out of here.
Right.
So a black SUV pulls up and Russo gets out. He introduces himself, and he's the head of the tactical and security division of Helson's Labs. Okay, here to escort him to the facility. So they all get in the car while the camera does this pseudo Michael Bay swoop around thing to very little effect. Cut to the Need for Speed bar. The Seville Quarter's reputation was destroyed by Atlantic Rim 1, so they needed a new establishment to ruin. Here, Hammer sits with his lady friends, Badger and Bugs.
We don't figure that out we don't find that out till later. Yeah, we hear Hammer's name, but the other two
we don't get right away.
Nothing.
Yeah. So Hammer asks why all the higher-ups have been on edge lately and that they're bringing in this Dr. Roth, and Bugs says that Roth is super messed up, and that's why he got fired.
Well, that clears all that up.
Yeah.
He is super messed up. She's not very good at describing things.
No.
Not as good as Red was.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. At least she's succinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Roth was like, whoa, and I was like, and I was like,
So Hammer reveals that Roth is the designer of the Armada bots. Okay, so Sonny D Mom was the one that came in later, I guess, and Roth was the first guy.
I guess. Also, throughout the movie, they keep calling the bots the Armadas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As though, like, in the first one, they were part of Project Armada.
Exactly.
They were once called them Armadas.
No.
And Armada doesn't make sense for the name of a single robot.
No.
Anyway.
What are you going to do?
This is the extra dumb shit they put in this movie. Bonus dumb shit.
Yeah. So Badger says that Dr. Horowitz was pissed that they're bringing in this Roth character. And Bug says that Horowitz was super messed up too. Well, they should get along just fine.
Super messed up. This is the first time that these two are referred to as super messed up. And they never once show us on screen. The whole time they're like, oh, Roth is this crazy lunatic. He never once does a single thing that's
he's
like,
the most calm and collected one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hammer says that he's glad they're bringing Roth back in, as they don't know what's coming, and he's open to all the extra help. Bug says, bring it on, because the Armada kicked the monsters' asses last time. Badger's itching for some action too, but she questions what they know about the monsters. Bug says that they know that they're big-ass ugly motherfuckers that kill people, and that's all they need to know. Badger says that she knows a guy from training that said that he saw one with his own eyes and it was spitting fire. That never happened.
No.
Dude, this is
I guess we can't account for there just being a lying asshole.
That's true.
But like she has this list of things that they know about them, which is nothing. Big, giant, ugly ass motherfuckers that kill people.
Yeah.
I mean, like big and giant are the same thing, so that's like. And then an ugly ass is like subjective, hardly scientifically useful. And then motherfuckers, I mean, it could be a problem depending on whether she means it literally or not. But there's no indication that they actually fuck mothers, so it's probably just name calling.
Yeah.
So they don't really know anything.
I thought she was talking about the elite team from Robo War.
Those big ass motherfuckers.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
It would have been.
Oh, man. So, Hammer says that he's worried about the new bots and that if the feedback pain is anything like in the simulations, they're screwed. The girls tease Hammer about being afraid of pain and having performance anxiety and all this camaraderie and them going back and forth. It's like the barracks scene in Aliens. I'm really getting a good sense of the rapport these soldiers have with each other. I'm kidding, guys. This is really goddamn stupid.
Yeah. So what I don't get is, okay, the main problem with the bots from the first one was the whole link into the brain.
Yeah.
All these years have passed, and they've only gotten worse.
Well, they fired Roth. Goddamn Sonny D Mom came in here. She didn't know what the shit she was doing.
You had one thing to fix, and you made it worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So they pay for their drinks, and Bugs asks if they have time to hit the beach before they're due back. And Badger says that she's done playing third wheel to you two wheelbarrows, whatever the hell that means. Bugs in the...
I thought it was pretty obvious.
Well, you're playing third wheel, but the other two are you got three wheelbarrows?
Yeah.
Are 3 wheels on one wheelbarrow?
It's one wheelbarrow. Why is everybody a wheelbarrow in this scenario?
It makes perfect sense.
It absolutely does not. So they all get text at the same exact time, telling them to report back. Cut.
I didn't like how, okay, they all got a text at the same time, and I forget which one it was, Bugs or Badger or whoever the fuck it was. It was like she was so shocked at getting a text. Whoa, what is that? Like, it's your phone, dude. Like she'd never received a text on it before.
She's got an issue with technology. Probably shouldn't be a robot.
A robot pilot, yeah. Cut to the city where the monster's wreaking havoc. The wide shot reveals a shot of the beautiful, world-famous Florida Alps in the background. And Russo's filling in Roth on the situation as they arrive at the facility. They take Roth into a cave and, whoa, look at the big budget on Atlantic Rim 2, springing for that green screen cave door.
God damn. Yeah, they built a whole base in there.
There's a door on a rock wall, and that had to be green screened. But the entire inside of the base they fabricated.
That door was straight out of like Doom 2.
Yeah.
So
it's like they used the special effects better in this one, but they're still equally as bad as they were in the first one.
What movie did you watch?
There's still Asylum.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, it's like they used it in a way to make it feel like at least they had people and the bots in the same shot at one time, a couple of times.
Yeah.
So you actually get feel like they're actually there, kind of.
Well, also to their credit, there was actual windows in the cockpits this time.
Yes.
There's tiny little windows.
So they go through the door and they take an elevator 30 stories down. Cut to the FEMA annex 5 miles off the coast, where Karen and her coworker Maggie are looking at screens at something that doesn't look good. Russo's right-hand man...
We never see what it is.
No,
the audience never gets to know. And also, why do they keep showing these locations and then their distance from the Atlantic coast? Why do we need to know this information?
Well, we don't want to confuse the audience, John.
Yeah. Because as soon as you start seeing all the cars with the California license plates, you really don't know where the hell you are.
Those are all vacationers. People on the California coast go to Florida to vacation at the beach.
Oh, Jesus. Is that the same black SUV from the first movie?
More than likely. It's probably the same black SUV from Born in the Mafia.
I think this was like champagne or something.
Yeah. Russo's right-hand man, Alex, a.k.a. Budget Jamie Lannister, calls Karen and tells her to get Sam and get out now, because something's happening, and you got to get out of here.
Thus begins the most useless subplot of all time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean total liability subplot? That one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That goes nowhere and serves no purpose? Yeah, let's spend some time with these characters.
That's the one.
Cut to Sam, and she's stuck in that famous 405 West Coast traffic in Miami. She can't hear her phone as her mother calls her to warn her of the attack. Back in the facility, Roth meets up with General Worthington, who has taken over the private facility on behalf of the government. Roth was working on making the robots work without the pilots feeling pain. Spinal cord stimulation generators reroute the sensation of pain from the axon nerves and recycles them through the generator in an endless loop, so the pain message never makes it to the brain. Okay.
Whatever. Also, did anybody think that general had like far too little medals on his jacket?
he just made it to general.
Like he had like four little those stripe things across there. That was it.
It's fresh general.
Yeah, so that's fresh general, crisp one for you. So Worthington takes Roth to see the new robots. This time they're red, blue, and yellow. There's no green one this time. They look better, but they're still just copy and paste all three.
Yeah, the design is much better.
Yeah.
And no dryer vent hose was used in the cockpits.
No dryer vent hoses to be seen.
Nearly everything about the cockpits was an improvement.
Yeah.
They even included seatbelts this time.
Yes.
So Horowitz is on a little bullshit Star Wars communicator device, talking with someone about if the Armada program is on track or not, because, a giant insect is destroying the city. She's introduced to Roth as he gets a call from Larry, who's steaming out to China, apparently. I don't know where this guy's going. This poor bastard is just driving just straight across the ocean in his little boat.
Yeah.
They bring Roth into the control room where he plugs into a big machine with a little Halo headset like from the first one. He's zapped with pain and asks if they changed the operating system. And they did, to RoboNet. But apparently they haven't updated their JavaScript in about 10 minutes, so it's not compatible.
Ah, fuck. RoboScript.
So, cut to Karen in wherever she's working, whatever she does. An explosion erupts from the city, and she calls back Sam again to check on her. And she says that Sam needs to come and pick her up right now. However, Sam's still stuck in traffic. Did anyone here think that this was going to be like, she was going to be a good mother and tell her daughter to, not come to the exploding city? No. You get here and pick me up now, you little shit.
Get here as fast as you can. I don't care how many people you hurt on the way.
Yeah, she tells her to do anything she has to do to get there. She's got 5 minutes and not to stop for anyone or anything.
But then she tells her to be safe before she hangs up.
She's just trying to survive. She's trying to survive.
At the expense of risking her daughter's life.
Hey. Shit happens.
Yeah. Well, listen, her daughter, if her daughter's not around to experience it, her life's useless.
Yeah.
So, back in the facility, Roth explains that Python is more compatible with brain mapping and RoboNet isn't. So one wrong line of code and this whole place is gonna blow. What?
That doesn't make a fucking bit of sense.
It's a bit extreme, don't you think? Why would it be built in that way in the first place?
If a single line of code in this robot's brain is off, this whole place is gonna go up.
Yeah, how the fuck do you troubleshoot that situation?
Oh, Lord. So Roth then asks to meet the pilots. Bugs, Hammer, and Badger report to meet Roth. He discovers that the robots are suffering from lag, and it's going to take some time for him to unplug the modem for 30 seconds and plug it back in again. Roth refuses to send the pilots out with the bots in their current state, but Hammer says that he knew the risk when he signed up, and that they're needed up there right now. Meanwhile, the monster's knocking down buildings as soldiers rappel from helicopters down onto the roofs of said buildings to shoot their pea shooters at it. Sam arrives at Karen's office, and Karen tells her to get out because she's driving. I half expected her to just peel off without her daughter.
That would have been awesome.
Thanks for the car, moron.
Surprise, idiot.
I don't know who your father is. It just takes off.
So Karen tells Sam that they're going to Grandma's house in Tennessee and that her father will meet them there. Back in the facility, Roth is mapping the pilot's brains to the bots. First Hammer, then next up is Bugs, who explains her nickname, because sting like a bee. So why not bee? Or wasp or hornet? Anything but goddamn bugs.
I was so annoyed. When she said her name was Bugs, I was like, why? Because she's wascally?
Nope, because sting like a bee.
Terrible. Just terrible.
So,
and then for Badger, we get no explanation.
Nothing. So he plugs in Bugs and Badger. Worthington then orders them to their bots. Hammer walks up to a cartoon platform. It's like something out of Super Mario Brothers. And it rises them up to the robots. Roth meets with Horowitz.
Again, like that's an element. Okay, the special effect was bad, but it sort of helps. I don't know. It makes it seem like a more functioning type deal than the last one.
More like a at least somewhat towards a legit movie.
Right. Exactly. Instead of just walking down an empty runway in a wetsuit,
walking through a mall parking lot. Yeah. So Roth meets with Horowitz, who's explaining that the creature's exoskeletons are stronger. The last ones were dragons. They didn't have exoskeletons. I don't know what you're comparing this to. And that these make the last monsters look like crickets. These look more like crickets than the last ones do. So she calls the creatures hadomorphs, which is a completely bullshit term. That's nothing.
Well, how you know that?
Because I tried looking it up everywhere.
Well, it's a... All right. This is a fictional creature. They can call it whatever the hell they want. I take exception to that.
But, like, they should have called them that... They called them that in the first movie, and then it carried over. We probably wouldn't have any reason to question it, but
exactly.
It's just popping up in this one. It's kind of weird.
I'm gonna call them Bananaраmas for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Hey,
and don't you dare look at me cross-eyed about it.
Fictional creatures.
So
what did they call them things in the Godzilla movie? What they called them in one of the newer Godzilla movies? One with Walter White.
That was an acronym for something. This is just a made-up word.
Right? A made-up word for a made-up creature. Cut them some slack.
That's like saying UFO is a word. It's not. It's an unidentified flying object. All of those are actual words.
Well, until you can tell me what what they call them, I don't know.
I'm over here trying to remember.
I think you need to cut them a little bit of slack.
Can't remember it off the top.
Nobody remembers anything from that movie. It was the most forgettable Godzilla movie in the universe.
It's something with an M, right? Like a Muto or something like that.
That's it, Muto.
Yeah. See? What the fuck's a Muto?
It's good for something, though. What does hadomorph stand for? What does hado stand for?
That might be a long-ass acronym. Heavy ass,
big ass motherfuckers. Oh Christ! Okay, that's gonna be a homework assignment for the finale. Everybody needs to come up with an acronym for Hadomorphs.
Got it.
Roth accuses her of admiring them, and this whole scene's right out of Alien. So we get our first glimpse of inside the new Armada bots. Considerable upgrade, as John said. They strap into their pilot chairs and don their little eyeball reticles. Roth tells them that don't just physically move, consciously concentrate on moving. Thanks, jackass.
I didn't understand why they needed to. Why did they have those skiing poles there to hang on to?
Everything's controlled with thought. Like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
Well, again, what are you going to do? Asylum. So Worthington preps the pilots and tells them that they're still unaware of the creature's intentions. Their intentions? I think it's to fuck shit up.
Their DNA, their instinct tells them to fuck shit up.
So the bots launch out of their tubes and take off towards the monster. Meanwhile, Karen and Sam are hauling ass across town when they hit a roadblock, and Sam says they need to get out and go on foot from there and follow the other fleeing people. Karen, however, wants to sit in the gridlocked car doing nothing. Sam leaves and forces Karen to follow her. The pilots are complaining about the bots being unresponsive, so they decide to work out the kinks on the way, but they arrive at the monster within the next 10 seconds. So much for that.
This whole lag problem was like infuriating for me because there was really no, like, they were saying it was a problem, but it didn't ever seem to be a problem.
No, it was just something for them to complain about, and that's why they lost, I guess, in the first round. Spoiler alert.
I mean, just leave out the thing. Just don't say nothing about lag and say that they were new to driving the robot. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and also that they've never fought anything like this before or whatever. I mean, there's like plenty of reasons they could lose apart from the fucking software needs an upgrade or something.
Yeah. This software's on Python.
This robot runs on Windows 95.
Well, we are dealing with the U.S. government, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
So was it even? I don't even know. I mean, I guess it was.
So the robots just kind of land on a bunch of buildings, and like the streets aren't, flooded with fleeing civilians everywhere. They engage with the monster, and Hammer announces to Badger, Bugs, and the government that he's sending the rockets. Badger, Bugs, government, I'm sending the rockets. There's any government employees who have to be postal workers, anyone who happens to be listening right now, I'm sending the rockets.
There's some government bean counter tallying up the rockets.
So he fires his shoulder-mounted rockets, and the monster topples over. They move in to make sure it's dead when it rises up again, as monsters do. It throws huge chunks of earth at the bots, and they start shorting out. Hammer's bot collapses as Karen and Sam watch from an alley. He calls for help, and the other two come running in as he gags on the smoke coming out of his bot. The entire base's team then goes up to help. Everybody. Russo's driving the team around like an annoyed dad. He's like, "It's all right, everybody. Let's calm down. We're making good time here. We're almost there."
So is Russo what happens when you can't afford the rock?
100%, yes.
Yeah.
You just get the pebble.
So they arrive at Hammer's downed bot, and Roth spots the oxygen supply leaking out. So he spouts off a bunch of nonsense that he's going to do to fix it and heads over.
They're just like walking towards this robot. They know this man can't breathe. and they just took like a nice leisurely car ride over, and then they're like, "Oh, look, hey, his oxygen's all fucked up." Like there's no urgency whatsoever to save this man's life.
So Russo climbs up onto the bot to see if he can talk to Hammer. They climb inside to find him unconscious. Horowitz can't find a pulse, so she stabs him in the chest with a syringe that doesn't seem to do anything. So they have to abandon the bot in Hammer's body before they suffocate. Meanwhile, Badger is steadily screaming at Bugs, and this actor really over-enunciates every word she says. And like, with the biggest mouth possible. God damn it, Bugs! What are you doing?
It's not really something I noticed.
Like, I couldn't not notice it. So Badger shoots the monster with some missiles, and it drops down again. And they all get super happy. Like the last time, it didn't just get right the hell back up and kill one of them. So Russo reports to the others that Hammer's dead. And as they begin to leave, what do you know? The monster starts to move, and it bursts open into a million little tiny ones out into the street. And the soldiers open fire and flee back to their SUV. The little tiny bugs jump up onto the windows, the actual windows of the robots, and one burns its way with acid into Bugs' cockpit. And she opens fire with her sidearm and fights them off, and the bots return to base.
How did that bug get up there? Because at this point, Bugs and Badger are both in midair. They're flying.
They can leap like a motherfucker, apparently.
I'm not buying it, Chase.
I'm
gonna go with it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's too bad. You already watched it. Asylum accomplished their mission. It's in your brain now. So Karen calls Alex and tells him that they're looking for a FEMA bunker. And Alex tells them to get off the streets as a swarm of bugs comes around the corner. Back at the base, Worthington says that they will regroup and take on the new swarm. Horowitz says that civilians will get caught up in the crossfire and it's way too risky. So they implement Phase 2, which turns out to be bioweapons, because that's so much more safe to civilians.
Yeah, what the...
I love how
I didn't get the strategy.
Every time anyone says Phase 2, it's like the most sinister shit. They're like, Phase 2.
Yeah, it's like Order 66. Implement Phase 2. So Bugs and Badger arrive back at the base. Horowitz tells Worthington that she needs one of the spiders. Then they start calling them spiders to know what they're dealing with and what to prepare for Phase 2. He sets up a perimeter. He sets up a perimeter around town and orders anything with more than 2 legs killed on sight. I feel bad for any stray dogs of Miami.
Yeah. Yeah,
anything with more than 2 legs.
Oh no, the dogs, the cats, everything at the zoo.
It would have been funny to just see like just bands of soldiers just killing animals.
just fucking up those lions.
People like, what are you doing? Just following orders. Like taking a kitten out of a little kid's arms and just snapping its neck. You're welcome, kid.
Oh, Lord.
Just doing my job.
So Horowitz tells Roth that she thinks that he's still needed there because he knows more about the bots than anyone, but he needs to learn how to follow the rules. What rules has he broken since he's been here?
Seriously.
Should we be worrying about rules when there's giant fucking monsters?
All he's done since he's been here is try to help and use reason. He asks her how it is that she writes the rules about what the bots can and can't do when she herself admits that he knows more about them than she does. She responds, yes.
Yeah.
I just say, how about we throw out the handbook until we get rid of these giant fucking monsters?
Yeah. So they make up from their little spat earlier, and it's revealed that Roth's big reputation that he has is because he threw a chair. Grade A badass. He threw a chair out a window.
Yeah. It's like, whoa. Slow down, Caligula.
Now, is he the guy that invented... They're saying that he invented the robots, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, disposable.
Okay, so this just hit me. Maybe he was the one that said, no windows in the cockpit. And they're like, I don't see the problem. And he said, this is the problem. And he picked up a chair and threw it through the window.
Well,
illustrating his point.
He made the point, though.
He didn't want the windows.
Exactly, and there were no windows.
I know, but then once they got rid of them, they put in the windows. And now he's back, and he's like, oh, look, put in them windows, I already got a fucking bug inside of one of them.
This headcanon of yours is not supported by anything in the movie.
I like to think that he's smugly looking at the windows in the cockpit, knowing that, yep.
I can disprove that theory. So Horowitz says that she needs to figure out if she can synthesize a targeted bioweapon. Okay, so Phase 2 is a set plan from the beginning that they have to implement in case the first phase of the plan fails, yet they haven't even started working out the logistics of what Phase 2 is.
Phase 2.
So the soldiers set up an ambush spot for the swarm in the dry desert hill country of southern Florida. Horowitz reveals that she got started in all of this when the monsters attacked San Diego. Well, okay.
Whoa.
San Diego. In the beginning of the movie, as you remember, it clearly states that the first attack happened, Red and his band of whirling jackasses put them all down, and then nothing happened for years. Peace and quiet. Huh? Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Not clear.
Oh, Christ.
They also said at some point that in the previous incident, millions were killed. Which I find really difficult to believe. But anyway.
The occupation, the occupant capacity of that Seville Quarter bar was very large. So
no more than 1 million persons allowed by the order of the fire marshal.
So she tells the story of how she failed to utilize human resources in a war they were already losing, and she was the only one to survive that attack in San Diego. Russo says that the swarm is incoming and to get the doctors back to base, but Horowitz refuses because she needs one of these spiders to study. And Russo says that he'll get back to. Russo says that he'll get one of them back at least, and we'll take Roth back. But he refuses to go too, because fuck it, okay. You know what? Screw the scientists. You die, assholes. Horowitz also doesn't want to leave because she's afraid that, well, what if you can't get one of the spiders back to the base and I have to take a tissue sample from the field? If you could get a tissue sample, there's one clearly dead, no? Why couldn't you get it back?
I don't know, but what she ends up doing is far from a tissue sample anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a full-on autopsy.
Yeah.
Right.
So, meanwhile, Karen and Sam are fleeing the swarm, and they take shelter in a nearby building. They slam the door behind them as the spiders scratch away at it from the other side. Better hope they don't have a small claw hammer.
Well, you're right about that. I didn't even think about that. But this thing just melted glass on an Armada bot. For all we know, an Armada bot is the most heavily armed piece of machinery on the planet.
They ain't chair-proof, though.
No, they're not. You know, these things are built to withstand the pressures of the ocean, but this bug spit melted the glass.
Yeah.
Yet, this metal frame door to this building is keeping out the horde of bugs.
Yes.
Maybe the bugs have about as much interest in this plot line as I do.
The door.
They're just like, whatever.
The door is made out of anti-chair material.
Yes.
The bugs are like, God, even a chair couldn't get through this thing.
So, Russo and the soldiers watch on as the swarm of spiders eat some old poor prospector. Oh, cinnamon and gravy.
It's the guy from Avalanche Sharks.
Still kicking.
Because he's immortal.
Yeah, he put his own ass back together.
So,
and then Roth is like, oh no, they're killing that guy, as if he hasn't already been like torn to bits.
So it's at this point that Russo declares the mission a failure, as he doesn't see how they can take on the swarm of this size. However, they happen to spot just a couple of the spiders just kind of hanging out around a gas station. So let's close in on those.
Just hanging out, smoking a cigarette, drinking a big gulp.
Russo and Alex take two of them out, but the third soldier that's with them gets chomped. Roth grabs a gun and takes off after it for some reason, and he shoots the spider dead before it can get to Russo. And Russo asks Roth, well, where'd you learn to shoot like that? Roth responds, well, I'm from New York.
Big issue.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to have a gun in New York? He should have said I'm from Texas.
Yeah. I guess he actively participates in gun violence around New York.
I guess.
Are they still under the old impression that New York is like the most violent city on the planet?
Probably.
The other thing, which is probably only funny for me, well, I know, never mind, not probably. It was funny for me because by this point I had already started watching this movie at 1.5 times normal speed. So this whole running back and forth with the guns and everything, it was like watching a modern version of The Gods Must Be Crazy. And I really laughed at it. Like, it was funny.
Oh, Lord.
That's a movie we should watch. Jesus Christ.
So they box up a spider corpse and load it into the SUV. Meanwhile, Karen and Sam are still taking shelter in the building as the spiders attempt to find a way in. Again, the doors is acid-proof, as is the gigantic window next to it. Sam is freaking out, and Karen's calming her down. And these two, they're just a roller coaster of emotions. One's up, one's down, one's going east, the other's going west. So what?
Women, right?
Well, like none of these people in this movie are characters. You know what I mean? They're just like they're all interchangeable. You could have given any of these lines to any of them. None of it matters.
Well, I mean, like Karen is like about to start killing people to get out of there at first, and then all of a sudden she's the cool as a cucumber one.
Yeah. Maybe the script supervisor was taking a break while they were shooting the scene, and they were just doing each other's lines. I don't know. So back at the facility, Bugs and Badger are getting patched up. They talk about how they can't believe that Hammer's actually gone, and this whole scene is shot where Bugs has a giant bandage on her face, and that's the side of the face that they decide to put on the screen. So they're just talking to a big white square.
Very bad choice there.
Outside, Russo drops off the spider corpse because Horowitz doesn't want to bring it down into the facility and risk contamination. And they're handling the box that it's in like it's composed of pure nitroglycerin. Just then, Roth gets a call from old Larry. You remember Larry, right? The guy that's steaming around the world in 95 minutes?
Still on his fucking boat.
He reports that they found where the monsters are coming from and that they're ready to nuke that spot. But Larry says that there's a lot more going on than that, but he doesn't really elaborate on that point. Horowitz gives her take on the situation that the spiders, okay, here we go, that the spiders look like typical everyday arachnids, save for their size.
And the number of legs and that weird thing that they have that shoots acid.
Yeah. You know, all those spiders that have 4 legs.
Right.
They set up Horowitz. Okay, so she doesn't want to bring it down into the base because she doesn't want to contaminate the base. So she says, bring my equipment up here. So they set up a sterile science lab out in the open, wind whipping sand and debris all over the place. That won't interfere with any of these examinations. They're wearing clean suits, for Christ's sake.
They also seem to bring everybody out of the facility up to witness it. Like, if you want to keep the contamination out, maybe not bring everybody up to see it.
Yeah. So she rips it open, and they find no radiation or toxins present. So she starts ripping into the thing, and it's just spilling peas out of it. That's what they decided to make the guts of this thing. Peas.
Smells like piss.
Boy, that's a big time callback right there.
As soon as she announces that there's no toxins present, everybody up there starts taking off their paper surgical masks, as if those things would have ever protected them from toxins in the first place.
And they would not have, by the way, but I'm not going to get into whole, respiratory protection and all that, but those masks would have done nothing.
Yeah.
Those are surgical masks, which don't protect anything really coming into you. It doesn't protect you.
Probably just keeps blood out of your mouth.
It's supposed to keep you from breathing shit onto a patient.
Right.
Yeah.
Not from anything coming up and getting into you. It's not going to stop that.
So
anyway, I've gone on too long about the mask as it is, so let's keep going.
So as Horowitz is poking around in there, she can't identify any of the organs, and she then exclaims that these spiders aren't carbon-based, and therefore they're aliens. This is the only point where they point out that they're aliens. It never plays a purpose. There's no reason for them to be aliens. Yeah. So, but then she points out that a specific blob of crap is an organ that is typically used for expelling salt from the body. Wait. I thought you couldn't identify anything inside of this thing.
She's a genius.
Yeah. But it's this organ has a reverse plasma membrane on it. So you know what that means, right? Everybody at once? It's storing salt.
Yeah, that's what it's doing.
Sure.
So she decides she needs to figure out a way to engineer her bioweapon to destroy the membranes of this little organ inside the spiders that won't harm the population. It's a very specific bioweapon. Meanwhile, Larry still out circling the Bermuda Triangle when he's attacked by another monster and is killed.
I'm glad you brought up the Bermuda Triangle, because to me that's what's been missing through this whole thing. Like, you're talking about mysterious monsters springing forth from the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
And nobody's mentioned the Bermuda Triangle in 2 movies.
Nope.
Like, that'd be the perfect thing to say where they were coming from.
Too obvious. Asylum's above that lowbrow shit.
And then
that's
they
what
could even
everybody
say,
else would do.
They could even say, oh, the bots are lagging from interference from the Bermuda Triangle. And everybody would be like, yeah, that fucking makes sense. That's the ticket. But
sure,
no,
why not? Nobody understands the Bermuda Triangle.
No.
Well, in any case, poor Larry. He was on a fool's errand from the beginning.
Yeah, he was.
I don't even know what he was doing.
Once again, in the beginning of this movie, when I was still thinking that Red and the Doctor were the same person, just different actors, at first I thought Larry was supposed to be Tretch's character, still keeping up the good fight. Like, just out there in his own boat trying to help people out.
See, they could have had ties to the first one if they only wanted to.
Yeah, but they didn't want to, I guess.
No.
Yeah, so they changed everything.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Worthington, completely unmoved by Larry's death, says that now they can strike because they know exactly where the monster is because it just killed Larry.
How did they even know that it killed him?
They heard him. Oh God, the monster's killing me. My name's Larry.
This is intrepid Gaul getting eaten.
So, cut to the USS Radiant. We're not even on the Virginia anymore. Where they're looking underwater with the sub and they're seeing hundreds of eggs in the ocean floor. So they get the go-ahead from Worthington to sweep and destroy. And they're ready to launch the missiles. And right as the order is given to fire, the screen cuts out. And then Worthington says, "Or not."
This dude is totally unmoved by loss of human life. Like, fuck Larry, fuck everybody on that sub. Or not.
This could have been Graham Greene.
Oh, I know.
And it would have been wonderful. I'm just going, or not.
Or somebody could have said, "We lost the feed, what happened?" And be like, "That's a damn good question."
That's a damn good question. Capish?
Oh, shit.
So this means that there's multiple new creatures out there. So Worthington orders the armadas to be ready immediately. Topside, Horowitz figured out how to kill the spiders and assumes that the giant bugs will be killed with the same thing because assumptions have worked out so well for everyone in this movie so far.
Right.
They're going to retrofit the armada's flamethrower units to administer the agent. The two new bugs surface from the water and call their babies to them. Russo finishes installing the chemical agent into the armadas. They call Bugs and Badger to report to the hangar. And as Badger tries to wake up Bugs, she finds her that she's foaming at the mouth and bleeding from the eyes. And the doors slam shut and trap Badger inside. Cut to the rest of the people in the facility. Russo's pissed because Horowitz locked the pilots down because she doesn't want the contaminant to get out. Well, didn't they just inspect one of the things and there was no toxins or anything fishy in there? Why is she having some crazy reaction now?
Don't know.
For convenience or inconvenience, I don't know. Whatever they want.
It's at this point that I was sided firmly with the feminist. Because lock up the two strong women that have been piloting these robots and let two untrained men go in and save the day.
Well, one of those girls was dead, I think.
Load her unsexy ass up in that robot.
Toss that corpse to that robot and get it going.
So Russo's the first to volunteer to pilot one of the bots. Roth volunteers to do another. However, Worthington has an issue with putting Roth in control of a $1 billion robot. What if he throws a chair through another window?
It's possible.
Could jeopardize the whole mission.
He makes the case that he's the most qualified one there, even though Horowitz is worried about him going. They tell each other their first names are Amanda and JP, but Roth won't tell her what JP stands for until he comes back from the mission. I'm guessing it's Jiffy Pop.
Like, all I could think was, like, who thought, like, that was, like, the cool thing to say? Like, when they were writing that script. Like,
yeah, I'll tell you when I get back.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, what was it? I'm guessing this is another ripped off part from Aliens, where Ripley and Hicks tell each other the names.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of parallels to Aliens in this.
Oh. It'd have been funny if he'd have came back and, like he said, like, when he was going to tell her what JP meant, like, It was something like not even with a J or a P. So why do they call you JP? Oh, stands for Big Dick McGee.
She just kind of goes, okay. And then the credits roll. That would have redeemed the movie.
They just show the general give like the little slow nod with a squinted eye. Like, yeah, that's right. Big Dick McGee.
Old Big Dick's moving on to phase 3.
Then he rides off into the Florida desert on his motorcycle, and Danny Trejo rides up right next to him on the exact same motorcycle.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
I would have to change my drawers if that happened.
So Roth and Russo take off in the bots. The spiders are covering the big monsters to make them bigger or something. I don't know.
No, not at that point, which that only confused me later on. They just covered them for some reason.
Yeah, they're just wearing their children as armor, something that Karen wishes she could do. So Russo attacks first, distracting the monsters as Roth readies to launch the chemical agent, but it doesn't work. And the monster flips up a gas truck tanker at Roth and blows him and sends his armada flying into a tailspin. Russo catches him and tells him to stay clear until he can fix the flame unit. Russo exhausts all of his minigun ammo and falls back to use his rockets while Roth quote-unquote figures out why the flame unit isn't working by just kind of sitting there and wincing.
He never does a single thing that looks like he's trying to fix it.
No. And why don't none of these robots work?
Yeah, well, they switched the OS.
But
lag.
Two movies of robots not working correctly.
Yeah. In the first one, in the very first time they go out, like one just shuts down for no reason.
Right.
These robots are trash.
Maybe we shouldn't be putting all of our taxpayers' money into giant robots. We're clearly not very good at it.
They said $500 billion in the last movie.
Oh, Lord. So at this point, the monsters combine and form one single giant monster.
Some straight up Power Rangers bullshit, right?
Okay, the two monsters come together and they start glowing and melding together. Yeah. And I don't know who said it, but some jackass in the movie goes, "Oh, they're killing each other."
Worthington said that. He said they appear to be killing each other. And then Horowitz corrects him and said, "No, they have recombination proteins. They're fusing into one organism." Okay.
Sure.
So I don't know. I thought maybe they should have attacked it while it was doing this instead of staring at it silently for 10 minutes.
Well, it was a private moment between two monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Look away, everybody. Give them some privacy.
Get a room, you two. Jeez.
They're killing each other.
It's like when a kid's watching National Geographic.
Yeah.
He walks into Mommy and Daddy's room. He walks into Mommy's and Daddy's room at night. What are you doing to my mommy?
Stop hurting Mom. You're killing her.
Shut up, Timmy. That's how she likes it.
Glowing and covered in bugs.
It's a weird kink, but it's as valid as any other.
So,
your mom ain't much of a looker, but this is why I keep her around.
She's into that freaky shit
any day.
This is why we've got all these jars of ants all over the house.
Your mom's a freak.
All right. Stop it, guys. I'm getting horny.
Okay, so
your mom used to serve us mushrooms in cars.
until one of them strangled her best friend.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man. Okay.
That got weird.
I hope you've been watching since the beginning, folks, 'cause we threw a lot of old shit in that chain of.
I know.
Oh, okay. So Horowitz is going to take the backup canister of the chemical agent out, and Alex volunteers to escort her. They run out and jump into the SUV, where I hope the chemical agent's already loaded up because they didn't bring shit with them, and then they drive off.
Like a couple of Russians with no luggage.
Meanwhile, some bug slime gets into Russo's cockpit and starts to burn through his leg. Roth gets an idea to ram the flamethrower arm down the monster's throat and hopes that the acid will melt the canister and release the chemical aerosol. I don't know why he just doesn't throw a chair at the thing.
Do the same thing.
So Karen calls Alex while they're on the way to Roth and Russo, and they decide to peel off and go help her instead. Russo decides to kamikaze in and blows up, crashing into the monster. Meanwhile, Alex arrives to get Karen and Sam, and he gets into the building and tells them all that it's all over. Let's go home. It most certainly is not all over. So,
but they're not in immediate danger anymore. You know,
no, all the little ones had an orgy on the big one, and now it's all over.
Yeah.
He just like walks in. He's like, "Hey, what are you two doing? Let's get out of here." It's like the least heroic thing.
Yeah, it's all over. Let's go home. So Roth springs into action, exclaiming, "All right, I'm gonna ram this down its throat." And he flies in, readying the flamethrower. And he says, "All right, come to Mama." Why Mama?
I don't know.
Why? Okay.
Maybe because it was Badger's robot, and since he linked into it, he had taken on a female perspective.
Or he's just paying tribute to Badger.
Yeah, let's go with that. So he jams the Armada's arm down the monster's throat just as it opens its mouth to spew its acid. It shakes him around and throws the bot to the ground. The giant monster collapses onto Roth's Armada, crushing it, as the little spiders, still unmoved from the street that we first saw them in, all shriek in agony. Alex and Horowitz try to get to Roth before the acid eats through the cockpit. Hang on, Doc. This could get squirrely. At this point, I asked, where did Sam and Karen go? They're not in the SUV.
I don't know.
Did he drive them? Oh, yeah. What are you guys doing? You just walk home.
Yeah.
Seriously, there's nothing. There's no problem anymore.
Somebody's got to go to work, Karen.
I'm busy right now, Karen.
No.
You guys need to find your own way home.
They arrive at the Armada wreck and climb into the bot. And Horowitz finds Roth unconscious and wakes him up. She helps him out of the pilot's chair, and they exit the Armada out of the back door, I guess. Meanwhile, they're walking out onto the street, and Alex meets them as Roth takes one final look back at the Armada and smiles. Then Roth tells Horowitz that his name is James Patrick. And she says, "Well, James, I'm glad you're not dead." Me too. The end. Gugh.
That's the second time someone says, "I'm glad you're not dead. Me too." Right? Larry said the same shit earlier.
Yeah.
Right before he died.
But what about the little spiders that were all over the city?
They all died.
The nerve gas was they're not like, it's not like they're vampires, is it? You kill the big one.
Maybe they're like hive mind type thing.
Those things seemed easier to clean up than the big one, I guess.
We'll get answers to all those damn good questions in Atlantic Rim 3, The Search for More Money.
And what about Badger? She's still like stuck in that elevator.
she's still rotting away, catching whatever old Bugs died from.
I was kind of hoping when you saw Bugs sitting there on that cot, you knew she was infected with something.
Yeah.
I was really hoping to see like a Cloverfield, like just something blow out of her stomach or something, but.
Oh, yeah. Go more, double down on the whole ripping off of aliens thing and have a chest burster come out or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something cool.
Nope. You're just going to conveniently lock the women away.
Exactly.
Oh, lordy. All right. Well, that's it. We wrapped up the final movie of season 3. Now it's time for the final round of bonus questions.
Oh boy.
So
I barely paid attention to this movie. Nothing.
So right now, I am tied up with Blake. Is that right? 4-4?
No, you're ahead, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. 5. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As per usual, I messed up my quiz questions on the last episode, so Chase actually did get one correct. Well, I got both of them correct.
I got them both right.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I got a retroactive bonus point. So I'm in the lead with 5. Blake's trailing behind with 4. And John is behind him with 3.
Yeah.
So this is it. This is for the final one. If Blake can get 1 and John can get them both, this was all pointless.
Or maybe I can get them both.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. Are you ready, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here we go. Who won't be present now that General Worthington has taken over command of the facility?
Oh, damn it. There goes one.
All right. Question number 2. When Roth meets up with Horowitz in the facility in that alien ripoff scene, he claims that he's down there looking for an LDO so that he can add it to what?
Well, I guess Chase wins the bonus round.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Question 1. Who ain't going to be there now that Worthington took over?
I don't know.
The Admiral?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Mr. Rick Moon.
Okay.
And what was Roth looking for when he went down to get the LDO so he could add it to what?
The flamethrower?
Nope.
The neural connection.
John was on the right path with just some gobbledygook techno nonsense. It was to add it to the Armada's Matrix interface. Oh, I stay in the lead. 5-4-3. Lock it in.
Yeah, still got 4 bonus points.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And we don't know how this is going to shake out. So, there's no coming attractions this week as it's our final episode of the season. All that's left for us to do is the finale special, which will be the next episode, where we will do all of our usual bells and whistles. We'll do our Hoist of the Woist lists. We'll give out some awards to some movies if they deserve them or not. We'll have some other little fun little games and things we're going to do. But then we're going to take the exam. And the exam is going to be a 10-question quiz, multiple choice, spanning the entirety of the season. Nothing's off the table. So, I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember a goddamn thing about Time Barbarians.
I'm not studying for this fucking thing at all.
So,
yeah, who's got the time for that? I'm going in with whatever garbage my brain contained, and
Yep.
We will be taking this quiz live on the finale, so there's no shenanigans. We'll be able to see each other's scores in real time, and then once those scores are made, we get to add our bonus points to them. to forget the final outcome to find out who wins the season. As usual, whoever comes in third will be all-time moderator for our next special month, which I think we can go ahead and say it. It's going to be Shark Month 2018.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, and then whoever comes in first and second will be duking it out for winning the whole shebang going into season 4.
Lots of exciting stuff.
Yes. The finales are always a lot of fun. So, on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for plodding through this long season with us. We had some doozies this season. If you'd like, you can leave us a review on iTunes. We'd very much appreciate that. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Garbage Theater. Also on Twitter at Garbage_Theater and on Instagram at Garbage_Theater. If you have any suggestions for movies, send them our way. Send them to any of those social media channels, or you can send them to us directly at garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Any last words for the last episode of the season, fellas?
No. I'm so ready just for this one to be over with. This season fucking sucked.
At this point, I don't even know why I asked this at the end of each episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
We're all just stunned at the end of each of these goddamn movies.
We didn't have one good movie this season.
Yeah, well, it was a rough one. Well, yeah. one of us absolutely fell in love with one of the movies, but we'll touch on that when we do the finale.
But still, whatever movie that is, whatever bullshit movie John has in his head that he's chuckling about, if we would have put it in season 2, it wouldn't have compared to anything.
Well, season 2 had Desert Heat.
Exactly.
Nothing. The award is called the Desert Heat Award. Nothing's ever going to hold a candle to Desert Heat. That's just unfair. It's an honor. It's an honor we bestow on these movies to even compare them to Desert Heat by giving them the Desert Heat Award.
This is true.
Oh my god.
So, that's it for Atlantic Rim 2 Resurrection, and that's it for Season 3. So we will see you guys next time on the Season 3 finale special.